Pyramid Athletics. This is the first of a video series we're doing called Meeting at the Bar. We got a barbell, some plates, and it is answering life's heavy lifts. Today I've got my friend Kristy Edwards here. She is a registered dietitian and all things health. She might not like being named that, but all things health to me.
I like it.
So there we go. And we're going to be asking her a bunch of questions today on, hey, what does it mean to be healthy? What does it mean to eat healthy? Things like that. So we're going to get into that. So thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. So hopefully, guys, after this conversation, I'm going to be asking her a lot of questions, and hopefully you guys can glean a lot on how to eat a little bit healthier and how to make those changes lasting instead of just
sustainable.
a minute long.
Yeah.
Right? So, first question, all right? I got a whole list. I wrote them down we can be, it's all good, it's okay. So, who are you? I know Kristy Edwards, but just to explain to everybody else, what is 901 Nutrition, which is Kristy's company? Kristy and Aaron
Dragetsky.
And Kristy have this awesome company called 901 Nutrition. So tell us a little bit about that, and how did this all get started?
So, Aaron and I are both registered licensed dietitians in Memphis. This is something we're extremely passionate about. So a lot of people don't really understand what it takes to become a dietitian. We got a 4-year degree, in dietetics, and then went on to get our master's. The University of Memphis has a combined master's and internship program. And so that is where Aaron and I met back in Memphis. We had both gone away to school, so back in Memphis. And we soon realized our vision for a future private practice was very similar, and our approach to healthy eating. And so we both have actually gotten experience in both the outpatient and inpatient clinical setting. I worked at Regional One Health for 3 years. Most people in Memphis know it as the Med. Erin worked for Transformation Center, Eating Disorders. She's got a lot of experience with eating disorders and disordered eating. And so, we decided, no better time than now. I mean, this is a huge opportunity, especially in Memphis, in the South. And so that's the goal. We want to reach as many people as possible. We want to, we want more than anything to give people the knowledge and the tools that they need to be successful when it comes to healthy eating and just overall wellness. And I'm glad that you did mention kind of the holistic approach, because we do look at, sleep habits and stress and exercise and emotions, just everything around. I mean, because everything can affect, where it's a whole system, right? And it's not just about the food you put in your mouth. It's bigger than that. So
yeah, that's so cool. There's so many parallels from what we try to do here. Is I tell my guys, like, hey, we want to give people the tools that they need to change their lives and get it to where an older lady can pick up her grandkids, or someone who's a little younger can lose the weight and do their first Spartan race. But all we can do is give people tools. It's their job to pick them up and go to work,
Exactly.
But that's so cool. There's so many parallels that pretty much where we're trying to tackle the physical side. It's great for us to kind of partner with guys like you, like y'all, that are just tackling another side of it, because it's a very holistic thing. You can't really just do one without the other.
Right.
That's super neat. All right, so when we say good nutrition, right, everyone has these different preconceived notions on what that means of, I eat the, fat-free yogurt, so I'm healthy, right? What does that mean? Just because I might think I know what good nutrition means, but what does that mean?
That is such a great question. Because you're right. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I feel like everyone kind of views this a little bit differently. Good nutrition really, and we'll talk about what it is, but in terms of what it provides us, energy, mental clarity, focus, increased performance,
fuel for the machine.
Fuel, exactly. So, Gosh, it's providing our cells and our body with what it needs to function optimally. It's improved quality of life. It's all these things. And like you were talking about, a grandmother picking up her, I mean, just like little, it's meeting people where they are and being able to do those things. And, everybody's at a different stage too when it comes to just general health, exercise, nutrition. Everyone's kind of in a different place. So I think it's really important too to meet people where they are. But good nutrition, I'll go ahead and just say that one of our approaches, our main approach at 901 Nutrition is, and I don't know if you've seen it on our social media or anything, but we focus on FPF, which is fiber, protein, and healthy fat.
Okay.
And so these three things being present at a meal or snack is just huge. It's, in terms of getting the nutrients that our body needs, in terms of being satisfied and feeling fuller longer, fiber, protein, these things help with being satisfied after a meal.
Right.
So
Not
that's
feeling like, I need to eat again. So one thing I don't hear is carbs. So we have our protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So why not carbs?
So that's also a great question. We love the focus on fiber because fiber comes from, and there's, in terms of carbohydrates, there's better sources and, not so good. I mean, you could have
simple and your complex carbohydrates.
So if I eat a cupcake, and there's nothing, I hate like labeling like good or bad or anything like that, but
everybody out there
just
that eats
general,
cupcakes right now are like, oh man, I was about to eat a cupcake tonight.
Right, especially now.
Right.
I've been seeing all the cupcakes lately. But there's a difference between, something that provides, like you said, if it's a simple carb and it provides that fast-acting energy, and if it's sugar that just hits the, I mean, if you're not moving, if you're like running a race or something, you need those fast-acting carbohydrates. But if you are sitting at home not doing a whole lot, it's like, I would go for the fiber, the fruit or vegetable. Something.
Which is a question we're going to get into in a little bit later, but probably something we should really even focus on more now than in the past, with people probably being stuck at home.
Exactly.
We'll get into that a little bit more later. But when we say things like simple carbohydrate or a complex carbohydrate, what's an example? What's a simple carbohydrate? What's a complex carbohydrate? What makes one simple or complex? Because it's complexing for me just thinking about those two words.
So like the cupcake would be a simple carbohydrate. And probably the easiest example that I could provide is in terms of grains. So let's say you have like a white refined grain, which could be a white pasta. It could be a cereal. Something like that is more processed, and instead of containing every component of the grain, there's three different, there's like, the endosperm, the bran, and so instead of containing all three parts and it's full of nutrients, it's kind of stripped of, nutrients, fiber, and sometimes there are products that'll add back in, some of these vitamins and things that are, but it's just not quite the same.
Gotcha.
Our body knows what to do with something complex like that. And so, examples of a complex carb would be something more like quinoa, which is a seed of a grain.
Sweet potatoes, I hear.
Sure, yeah, that's a real whole
complex
food. And same thing with like steel cut oats. I had some of those this morning. So anything like even whole grain bread, like Ezekiel bread, that's going to contain more. And a lot of times you can just look at the fiber on the nutrition label. If it's like 3 grams per serving at least, then you know that you're getting some fiber in there. You're getting
That's a good way to think about it.
So the difference is really one is more highly processed, and it's a white refined grain. It's kind of stripped of nutrients. There's not a lot of fiber. It's going to hit your system pretty quickly unless you have something to kind of balance it out.
I gotcha.
And, if you're not using that energy right away, you're likely going to store it as fat.
Okay.
Whereas the fruit or vegetable with tons of fiber and nutrients and antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, it's gonna go into your bloodstream more slowly, it's going to digest more slowly, and you're going to actually have time to use it, and it's going to keep you fuller longer. It's going to provide your body with all these things that help you feel better, improve your mood, all these things. So
neat. Okay, so if we've got this idea of, all right, what were they again? Fat, protein, and fiber.
Yes.
Right? So my next question was, all right, so we kind of get an idea of what nutrition is. What's something that we all need in our diet? Like, what should all of our diets contain? So we kind of answered that already with those three things, right? Now, what does that look like in a very practical way? Does it matter that we have a certain percentage? So, there's the whole idea of like the plate, and you should have the palm of your hand as your protein. The rest of the plate is like your carbohydrates, but maybe our not carbohydrates. What do we just call
Fiber.
it? Fat. Our fiber. Yeah. Goodness. And then the fat is like sprinkled on top, right?
you're exactly right. That is like,
so that's kind of like
have
the
described
plate.
it any better. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good rule of thumb for people.
Oh yeah. If you have at least half your plate, or 3/4 of your plate is fiber, it could be a combination of non-starchy vegetables, which we can talk about what that means, starchy vegetables, fruit, making up 3/4 of that, and then like you said, the protein component, about the size of a deck of cards or the size of your fist, about that much, like 3 to 4 ounces. If you're doing a lot of heavy lifting and stuff, maybe a little bit more.
Right.
But then the fat to kind of, it can add some texture, some flavor, whether it's like
a dressing for a salad.
It could be a dressing, or it could be like, I do a lot of ground flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds. So like if there's a way to add those into a salad, because you're not always going to have, right, like this perfect plate. So if you have like a big salad, you have your greens and stuff, and then you have the protein thrown in, whether it's like rotisserie chicken or something.
Right.
And then you've got, hemp seeds or something. So it's like, it's not always going to look...
And I can put all the ranch I want, right?
So, one thing I will say is that we love... Have you ever tried Tessame's brand?
I have not.
This is a really good brand.
Okay.
If you look at the ingredients, it's a lot of just real whole food ingredients. I mean, it's a clean nutrition label, but we really, really like that brand. And so...
Okay.
Not to say, douse the whole, but it adds some flavor. Yeah. And one little tip that I've heard before too is to kind of, if you have an issue with, a lot of the dressing.
Right. That's the biggest mistake I think I've seen a lot of people make, is they'll make this massive salad and it looks so good, and then they're just like squirting it, like making that big zigzag, and then going the other direction with it, and then like tossing it up, and it's like, you should have just had a burger and fries. Almost.
So sometimes it helps to kind of get like your bite on the fork and dip it.
I've seen people do that.
You end up doing less that way, I think. Yeah.
I've never tried that. It always looks so weird. Let me get a little salad and then let me dip it. It's almost like the whole put the fry in your mouth, then the ketchup. It's just kind of weird, but I should try. I've seen a lot of people do it, and all the people I've seen do it are pretty fit people too. So.
Well, another thing is, like, if you make your own dressing with some olive oil, lemon juice, pepper, and then you kind of like it ends up getting like, even just a little bit goes a long way. So you can actually like toss it and have it kind of where every bite, where it's.
Well, the worst is getting like, for me, it's the texture of like the lettuce and like that real dry lettuce texture, like on the roof of your mouth.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so that's a good
so
alternative.
You need a little bit, but I've heard the vinaigrettes are usually some of the best. To do. Is that true?
Yeah, especially if you...
Balsamic vinaigrette. I don't know. My wife's like, this is what we need, balsamic vinaigrette. And I'm like, okay, all right. And it's pretty good. It tastes pretty good, but it's pretty healthy. Healthier alternative to...
Yes, and true. Most of it is, again, if you make your own, or if you get like a really good brand, because sometimes there's things that, like yogurt, for example. So you have yogurts that are full of added sugar, and then you have yogurts that, like one of the brands that we love is called Lava yogurt. And it's actually a plant-based yogurt, and it's an acquired taste, I think, but I love it now. But there's others like Stonyfield Organic. I mean, so it just, there's some that just don't have a lot of the added stuff, but that's one of the big, when people think of like yogurt, cereal, juice, I mean, they think all these things are really healthy, and it's like, not always are they the best,
Right.
option. But
So what are some common mistakes? Let's say I'm on board, I'm ready, I'm changing my life. Someone looked at me the other day and looked at me weird, and I could tell they noticed I'd put some weight on, so I'm ready to change. I'm ready to jump in, all on board. Where am I gonna make my first mistake? If I don't have good training and I'm just kind of, oh yeah, I know salads are healthy, I'm gonna start eating salads. What's the biggest mistake people make? Because I've noticed, even my personal life, but running a gym, you meet a lot of people, and they'll jump into something, and it's either they have it's not quite right, like the salad with lots of dressing, or they do something so extreme, they do it for 3 days, and then they get so fed up with it, they cheat, and then they're like, oh, well, then they feel bad, and then they just keep cheating, and then it's like out the window. So what are some common mistakes people make when trying to start eating healthy, and some ways to, maybe what's the best approach, which I would say would also be call 901 Nutrition, get some coaching, right? But what are some other tricks and stuff they can do?
So
Or some
I
common
like
mistakes.
so I like that you mentioned the sustainability piece, and how a lot of people, and I see this all the time, where they'll jump on whatever the latest greatest fad diet is, and they'll do it for a few days or a few weeks even. But if it's not sustainable and it's not lifestyle friendly, and it's something that is going to be like, so many people are on a diet, off a diet, and this really is not great for our metabolism either.
Okay.
But I would say that's probably the most common mistake, is just jumping on the next fad diet. And, one approach that works for a lot of people, maybe not all, but certainly for me, especially as busy as I've been, the easiest thing for me to do is to pick one or two things. Maybe it's one thing a week, and that's okay. Like, start somewhere, and it's like, okay, what can and this is an approach that Aaron and I love to use. One of our mottos is add the next good thing.
Okay.
What maybe is missing from my diet right now that I could add in? What's one change I could make? Maybe you're someone who, let's say you either eat fast food or takeout or freezer meals or whatever, and you haven't had any experience with like meal prep or kind of,
fresh fruits and vegetables, putting it together, doing the whole trays, and this is my meal thing.
And it's okay that it looks different for different people. What works for me is I have more time on like a Saturday or Sunday to go to the store, to get some fresh fruits and veggies, and to get maybe it's one or two recipes that I decide I'm going to make on a weekend, and maybe it'll last me for several meals throughout the week, and I'll get the fresh produce, and I'll get all these things, put it together, portion it out, whatever. Some people have more time and would rather, instead of kind of trying to fit it all in a matter of like 4 hours on a Saturday or Sunday, they would rather, cook up maybe a portion or two, like if it's two of them, each night during the week. I mean, everybody, is a little different.
Lifestyles are a little different.
Right.
Okay.
So it depends on what works for you. But, one step at a time. I mean, for me, that's what worked for me, is just one step at a time. Like what was the first thing I could do? What have you heard of SMART goals, like specific, measurable, attainable, all that. So realistic, timely. So what is one thing that I could change that is going to be, I'm going to be able to make that change, and I'm going to feel good about that change, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So when me and my wife started doing, do you have people that run into this problem? This is something that you guys might run into, is we had an issue where we would meal prep on Sunday, and we'd make enough meals for the week, and then we wouldn't time it right, and then we'd have all this food that would go bad, because we'd get invited out to eat or whatever, or and then now at the end of the week we started throwing away food, which was like, oh man, I can't believe we're buying food, throwing it away, and then also still paying to eat out or something like that.
Yeah.
What we started doing was we would go to the grocery store on Sunday just to have enough food to prep for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we would go on Thursday. and then we prep through Sunday.
Kind
so
of
that
already
way,
having
whatever.
a plan and like knowing where you're going to eat out or.
Right, trying to plan out, okay, where am I eating out, you know, and
to cut down on food waste.
And then cut down on food waste. That was big for us because, you know, it's like, all right, we have a growing family, we have more mouths to feed, and it's becoming more and more of that. So we're like, okay, how can we really make better financial decisions, and how can we be a little bit wiser with our food and when we buy it and when we eat it and not wasting it. And that kind of helped us a lot. But I realized a lot of people, you know, I mean, I'm here, I work mornings, nights, and have free time in the middle of the day. A lot of people might not have that.
Right.
Do you have any tips on how to meal prep for a week? Like, should I meal prep for, you know, every meal, or should I meal prep for maybe 80% of my meals, or does that just go back to everyone's a little different?
Everyone is a little different,
okay.
and so my weeks are pretty much set. Like, so I have a lot going on right now, and so usually by Sunday, I'm like, I know exactly, like I know what meals I'm gonna be like at City Silo or somewhere eating, and how many meals. So and if you use the freezer, which Aaron, my business partner, is a lot better than this than I am, but I've gotten better as far as, you know, buying some frozen fruits or vegetables that I can then transfer like portion at a time to the refrigerator as I need it, or same thing with bread, like Ezekiel bread.
That's a good idea.
So that's, you know, and there's a lot of things that you can meal prep that you can then put a lot of it in the freezer, and as you start to get through the fresh stuff, you can move it over as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Neat. There's a lot there. Okay. 2 more questions.
Okay.
There's a lot of people at home right now. They are stuck at home and they are doing their part to stop the spread of the coronavirus right now. And for everybody out there, if you are suffering from it or anything, or you know someone who is, but our thoughts and prayers are going out to everyone that is impacted. Because currently, I mean, the whole world's impacted, and we're all doing our part and trying to do our part to stop this spread and at least slow it down as much as possible. So I know a lot of people are stuck at home, and they have gone to the grocery store and they've bought 2 weeks worth of food, or 3 weeks, or I know a few people that are good for a few months, but maybe they haven't. So now they're going to the grocery store and they're noticing, oh wow, there's just not much left over. So when a lot of people are stuck at home, Netflixing and chilling, how do we keep them from snacking on the Doritos? Like, what are some tips and tricks to maybe get our snack life when we're not able to be as active right now? And, you know, a lot of people are working out from home, which is great, but it's still tough. Tough, especially when the pantry's right there. You know, at least at work, you don't have access to your junk food, right? Well, at home, when it's a few feet away, it can be a little bit tougher. So you got a lot of people at home. So what are some ways that people can stay healthy? One thing that we're telling people, we're doing all of our classes online, and we're telling people, hey, just because you're stuck at home doesn't mean your fitness needs to take a back seat, right? So with nutrition too, life gets a little bit more complicated. So what are some ways they can stay a little bit healthier? And if they do have to go to the grocery store with what they see left, what are some ways they can put together healthier, more nutritious meals?
Right. So it sounds like there's 2 parts to this question, and one is the snacking, and one is, you know, with the grocery store right now, which last time I went, there was still fresh produce out, which is nice. It seems like a lot of the canned stuff was gone. Even some of the stuff in the freezer, which thankfully I had gone early and because that was my first thought, was frozen fruits and vegetables, like, because I still want to be healthy, and I was like, I need frozen fruits and vegetables, because
last time I went, no frozen fruits and vegetables left.
Really?
Yeah, the frozen stuff, but I did see some produce stuff, but most of the frozen stuff.
Now, did you see dried like rice and beans?
I did. I saw some dried rice. I think I saw some dried beans, but the bread was pretty much gone. The sandwich meat was gone. The protein was tough. You know, the steaks, the chicken, most of that was pretty much gone. So what are some ways that maybe they get some protein? Like, that seems like the protein would be a hard one to get, right?
Yeah, that's one thing I thought about too. I was like, okay, so if I'm like quarantined in my house for a couple weeks and I don't have protein that's gonna last, you know, because that's kind of hard to find. But again, like the frozen shrimp or frozen fish, and what I bought a lot of was tempeh.
Okay.
Because it'll stay in the fridge for a couple months. I want to say March. It was like May was the expiration date, and so I bought like 6 things of plant-based protein.
It's a good way to go, though.
Yeah, and it's, if you've never had tempeh before, have you had tempeh?
I have not.
So it's
I don't
it's
even
a
know what it
plant-based-
is. I'm
It's a
sitting over here going, I have no idea
soy-based-
what tempeh is.
It's
Couldn't
so
spell
good.
it.
I
Don't have
love
a clue.
it. I love it. It's so, I'm trying to just think about how to describe like the consistency or the texture of it. To me, it's kind of like a chicken nugget, but it's in these, you can cut it into these strips. And I literally just cook it stovetop and put some 365 marinara pasta sauce with it. And that'll be like my protein and either over like spiralized zucchini or just kind of by itself. We talked about like the plate. If you have other veggies and fruit to pair with it, and then there's your tempeh. But anyway, that's just one thing that I did that I was like, okay, this is a way that I can still get like all my essential amino acids, all my protein in, one way. Like obviously I'm not just going to be eating that and only that, but at least that one is going to last. In terms of the snacking, some of our favorite healthier snacks are like dried fruit. So we love the mango slices at Trader Joe's.
Okay.
That don't have added anything. Like literally it's just like dried mango.
Slice.
Dried mango.
Ingredients mango.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And then Trader Joe's has a couple of really good nut dried fruit blends or nut dark chocolate blends. So we love those. And then even just like some hummus and either carrots or Mary's crackers. Have you ever had Mary's crackers? It's basically just taking a bunch of like seeds and it's baked and they all kind of like congealed together to make like a cracker. They're so good. They're so full of flavor, herbs and spices. They're so good. So that with hummus tastes really good. Even just like some kind of nut butter, whether you prefer peanut butter, almond butter, whatever, with like celery sticks or carrots or whatever it is. But things like that, snacking on those things. And, it is important kind of what people are keeping in their house a lot of times.
Right.
Like some people, they'll have a bag of chips in their pantry for forever and it goes untouched. Some people, if it's there, it's going to get eaten.
I have 3 tubs of ice cream in my freezer.
And how long have they been there?
We don't need to talk about it.
Okay.
This is an interview about being healthy, not my personal Achilles heel, which may or may not be ice cream. But yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so I was gonna go one last question, but I'm gonna split up into 2 parts because I thought of something else while you were talking. You said something about essential vitamins and minerals. Should people be supplementing some sort of vitamin? I know I take a multivitamin every day. Do I need to? Is that something I should be doing? What are your thoughts on that? And then secondly, how often can I cheat on my meals?
So, okay. So with that site, well, we'll start with the supplements. Okay. So this is an interesting, because people ask, like, can I get everything I need from food? And my initial gut response, yes, I believe that you can. Now, do Americans, oh my gosh.
Not at all.
So 20%, it may actually be less than that, 20% of Americans consume adequate fruits and vegetables daily. If we think about that, most people are probably walking around with some kind of deficiency.
So we're looking at 80% of us are struggling.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So, like the multivitamin, a lot of people do this kind of as a catch-all, and I think that that's fine for, being in the medical field still, because I still work for DaVita, but there will always be like those exceptions, like, someone with chronic kidney disease or end-stage renal failure, doesn't need to be taken. But that's a whole nother topic.
Gotcha.
It's hard for me to make generalizations.
But
Like
let's just say
everybody,
for the healthy, doesn't have any sort of chronic disease, individual at home, your average Joe. And if they have something else at home, obviously this is all, talk to your doctor kind of stuff. Make sure it's right for you.
For sure.
But for the healthy average individual, take myself. I think I'm healthy. For me, healthy average individual, I try to eat well. I try to, should I be taking a multivitamin, or should I get specific and be taking, oh, I need iron here, I need, B12.
Well, it's always important to get those levels checked too, especially if you feel like you might be deficient in a certain area. Let's say you've been really fatigued, or, I mean, because
people might not
a lot
know,
of,
they might have been living with that fatigue. They might not know it's not normal.
That's true.
Because I feel like that's where I would be. Like, I don't know if this is fatigue or this is life. And this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
A large portion of Americans are deficient in vitamin D.
Okay.
I would say especially in the wintertime if you're not getting out in the sunlight. So that's one thing that, I do have a liquid vitamin D, because vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. So, I have a vitamin D supplement that is in MCT. And so
what is
that
it? You kind of just rolled through it. It's in MCT.
MCT.
Oh, yeah. Well, MCT. I'm like over here Googling what is MCT.
Sorry. So
that's okay.
medium chain triglycerides. So it's suspended in fat. It's a liquid. It's like better absorbed.
Okay.
So a lot of people, I will say, would probably benefit from that. If you're vegan or vegetarian, you may be deficient in like B12 or some of the B vitamins, and so maybe a B complex, in that
Would
case.
be helpful.
Or some, what's it called? I just forgot the name of it. Nutritional yeast.
Okay.
So, it's definitely a case-by-case basis, but I think that people, aside from the fact that maybe, if they get certain things checked, and because everybody has different genes, right? Different DNA. And so there may be somebody over here who has a hard time converting, folate or folic acid into the active form in the body, whatever. So everyone's different, but overall, I mean, like, I don't think that for the healthy individual, I don't think that taking a multivitamin daily would necessarily harm anything. I think it's like a good catch-all for,
So it's okay, but I should make sure I'm still doing everything else right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
You can't out-supplement a bad diet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tell people you can't outwork a bad diet too. So that's what we tell people at the gym. They're coming in here, they're working out every single day, and we had I've met with people that are like, man, I'm working out every single day, and I'm like, okay, what does your diet look like? Well, I'm working out a lot more, so I'm eating a lot more. I'm like, all right, what's that lot more?
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
What is
what
that?
Are you eating? Yeah.
And then that might not be the best nutritional thing for them, and turns out, well, that's why they're not losing. Now they're getting stronger, they're getting healthier, they're so we're building their aerobic capacity.
Right.
We're building muscular strength through their body, but yet they're not seeing the weight loss. And I was like, well, most of that's going to come from the kitchen. I tell people, hey, most of your weight loss comes from the kitchen, and what you're doing in the gym is building up, like I said, your aerobic capacity, building up your strength, helping you, keep from injury, having strong muscles around your entire skeletal structure.
And that's awesome. And they may actually even see more of a benefit. Like if they do change their diet and they're properly, fueling and recovering from workouts. I mean, it can make even more of a difference than they're already
here much
worthwhile.
more, much more efficient.
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't answer the last one. How often can I cheat on my diet?
Oh.
How many bad meals a week can I eat? And it'd be okay.
We like to kind of.
I need a hard number here.
If we're thinking in terms of like percentages, like 80, 20, 90, 10. I mean, we do try to stick to like the 80, 20, 90, 10.
So diet Monday through Friday morning, but I can start at lunch on Friday through the weekend.
But again,
Team Monday again.
Add the next good thing. And this is huge, and this I've seen, where it's been like the turning point for so many individuals is intuitive or mindful eating. Okay, so
like thinking about what we're gonna eat, not just eating.
So even when you sit down to eat, and this is part of it too, because a lot of us, I mean, we're busy, we're eating distracted, we're eating on the go, we're rushed, we're all these things, and it's so important to, because have you ever like been doing something and you eat and then you're like, where did the food go? And I don't even feel, satisfied from that, whatever it was. So it's so important to just like slow down for a second and, kind of like with the wine tasting, the see, smell, savor. So see the food, smell the food, hold it in your mouth maybe just a half a second longer, like instead of shoveling it in. And just, and enjoy. I mean, whatever it is, I don't care if you think it's healthy, not healthy, whatever. Enjoy it and savor it and take your time. And sometimes people will like put their fork down between bites or whatever, but enjoy it and think about too, okay, am I hungry right now? Am I stressed right now? Like, because I found when I really started, when I really started focusing, it was like, wow, a lot of times, like pretty much almost every day around like, that 2-3 o'clock, I was eating something just either out of habit because I was having an afternoon snack every day and I wasn't necessarily hungry or not. But also if I was stressed, I was eating more if I was stressed. So just paying attention to, are you hungry? Like how hungry are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And, are you stressed? Are you sad? Are you bored? Are you, especially.
Can I eat if it's a 1?
So 1 being.
The least amount of hungry, starving is 10.
Okay.
10.
Well, so 1 would be like overly stuffed. Well, if we do it the opposite way, if 10 is overly stuffed and 1 is like, I'm starving, right? I think that, instead of waiting until you're at a 1, because usually if you're at a 1 and you're hangry, you are going to eat, you're going to be craving more of the high salt, high fat, high sugar stuff. So I think it is important to kind of try to stay like somewhere in the middle, maybe you're at like a 2 or 3, and then maybe, instead of eating until you're just like a beached whale, you eat, and until you're satisfied, 8 or 9. And so all of that is part of intuitive eating and just practicing gratitude and just like thinking, taking a moment to just stop and enjoy the food.
So let's say I'm hearing you. I get everything you're saying, still going to struggle. I need help.
I mean,
how do we get in touch with you? Or let's say, do you deal with patients all over the country, or is this more of just a Memphis area, Memphis surrounding area?
We are primarily telehealth based.
Telehealth. So people anywhere.
Yes, most of our clients are in Memphis. Okay. But we can, especially now, I mean, we can see people, from their homes, and it's great.
Do you guys do like Skype and stuff like that?
So it is a HIPAA approved. It's for patient info. It's called Get Healthy, and it's our telehealth platform, and so it's secure and all that. So
and they can get in touch with you, and you guys can coach them through this and give them accountability and personalize their diet for them, and if maybe they do have some of those other health conditions we talked. So when we were talking about what about the healthy average individual, and they're like, I'm not the healthy average individual. I've got this and that and this.
Right.
They can get in touch with you guys, and y'all can say, hey, well, with these things, you should be eating like this, and this are the supplements you should be thinking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
how do they get in touch with you?
Either www.901nutrition.com, and there's a contact us part, or emailing 901nutrition@gmail.com.
And we'll put all that in the description on this video too, of how you can get in touch with Kristy and Aaron. And is it just 2 of you guys right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And one of the cool things too about our telehealth platform is that, people are able to kind of log their exercise, their meals, even as far as their emotions, their hunger and fullness and all of that. And some people will do it like, you can, it's a free app. And so you can snap a picture each time you eat, or at the end of the day, you can kind of log what you had that day or whatever, so that we can provide real-time feedback. So, our clients do this, and it's like having a dietitian with you wherever you go.
So when you get in touch with them, you're talking to a registered dietitian.
Yes.
Who's trained professional, that's going to help you with all your nutrition questions that weren't answered here. I know I have so many other questions, but it's probably time for us to wrap up. Things we didn't get a chance to talk about. I totally wanted to talk to you a little bit about what are your thoughts on intermittent fasting and keto and stuff like that. Maybe some of the more fad-ish diets, but maybe we can get into that another time.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Guys, thank you all. This is a huge treat for me. This is the first time I've gotten to do this, so it's a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you reach out to Kristy. We are, as a gym, are hopefully going to be partnering and getting her and Aaron out here to hopefully meet some of y'all in the near future here at the gym. And have an awesome rest of y'all's day. make sure you remember, guys, our thoughts and prayers are going out to everyone affected by the coronavirus. And we'll see you guys all in the next interview.